Hey, 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 hey. I'm here. I'm the first. I'm the first in my own, yeah. Uh, Inviting Alessandra. Yay. And she's there. See? It worked. Hi, Zoe. Hi,
Hi.
everyone. Oh my god. It's always like so stressful to see people joining and joining and joining. So, hey, everyone. Hey, Alessandra. We just froze for a second. I hope we won't do it anymore. So let's keep moving.
Yes.
It's not really my best angle here, but okay. Let's go from there. Hey, Suzanne.
Hi.
Okay, so we gathered here today to talk about manifesting career and job and business, and I don't know how to really call it uh, when it comes to you. But you are a famous opera singer, and right now you're a famous voice teacher.
Yes. I love singing and I love sharing the talent that I've developed. I love helping people find their own voice. Ever since I was a child, I knew I wanted to perform, and I was very blessed to have people, my family, very supportive and helping me pursue that. So it's always been a very, one-way street in a way. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. Probably, yes. Well, that's just how it has been. So, um, yeah, I think when it comes to job and career, I think people want to find what they're passionate about. And
Mm-hmm,
when we're little, when we're just children, we have this natural affinity to things that we like to do and our natural gifts. And I was really fortunate that um, my gifts were fostered and were allowed. Our
mm-hmm,
and I recognize that um, that I kind of drove the bus, just with my joy, my passion, that I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I didn't have any um I had so much curiosity. And I think
mm-hmm,
when people are exploring what they want to do as an adult, even if they want to change their career or whatnot,
mm-hmm,
I think it's really important, important is a word that we could use, but I think it would benefit them to go back to being like a child and remembering what they were passionate about as a child, how they played naturally, because I think those natural gifts are guides to us of how we
mm-hmm,
want to express ourselves in the world. So, yes.
mm-hmm. I loved one thing that you said, that yeah, you just operated from the joy of
Yes.
like what you want to do, and it really took you far. It took
Yes.
you far in terms of like success, but it also took you far in terms of like geography. All right, so you traveled the world pretty much with that, with the joy of your singing.
Thank you, Cody. That's lovely. Yes, I was really blessed to have a father who brought us all over the world to see the world, to travel, and he instilled a love for travel and for music and the arts. My mother as well. Um, they opened up a world to us. And it's really funny because when I was in high school, I went to Europe for the first time on a trip with my father and some other siblings and my mom. And it was also when I was starting to study classical music, or getting more serious about singing German lieder and like that. And later on, it was kind of like it was a blueprint, not a blueprint, but it was a stepping stone. It helped me with my own vision, you know, to be in Europe and to fall in love with the culture of where opera was born and to be there and to, so that was, I think we all have these clues in our life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So,
Okay. So maybe because tell us when actually like manifestation, like conscious manifestation came to your life. And right now, here's me. I have no idea what I want to do in my life. I have maybe a job I really hate. And tell me, like, what to do.
okay.
What to
So
do to go.
it's interesting. Looking back, I didn't know this consciously at the time, but now that I know more about conscious manifesting, um, I can look back to when I was applying for schools, and I knew at some point I wanted to go to this conservatory called Eastman School of Music. It's, you know, still named the best music school in the country. And a lot of my, it's wonderful because even now, so many of my colleagues from school I still see and have worked with, and they're, you know, it's a wonderful, it's an incredible school. But my point in sharing that is when I look back, um, I was really putting myself in that situation of, I visited the school and I felt that comfort. I was like, oh, this feels really good to me. Um, I want to be here. This is where I'm gonna. This is where I am. This is where I am. This is where I am. And it was a very competitive school, and people would say, well, if you don't get in there, you know, would you go somewhere else, and are you going to just do, you know, be a hobby singer or whatever? And I was just like, there's no way I'm getting in. You know, i was so
Mhm.
I was so determined. And when I was encouraging other people to um who were wanting to get into the school, I would say, imagine yourself there, having performing on that stage, and really feel that joy and that comfort. And that, it's interesting now looking back how I I did that without even knowing, but I without knowing the law, for, you know, but
Mhm.
I knew intuitively what to do, and I was being guided, and I knew this is what I want. So I think for people, okay, if you are wanting a new job or a new path, I would really, I would go back to that childlike version of yourself, you know, where you were,
Mhm.
what you were, how you played, you know, like some, I have a friend who was like, oh yeah, I wanted to be a businesswoman, so I pretended to be, I played with my, you know, teacups and, or had, I don't know what she did, but she did something that business, you know, people do as far as writing, imagining writing checks and playing that role. I would say explore what you're passionate about, and also what kind of lifestyle you want to have. I'm being very vague right now. I think it's just really important for people to follow their, I want to say their intuition, but just to follow
Mhm.
their passion, and to trust, to go within and explore what's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Cody? What would you like when I'm giving voice lessons to people? I'm I really love that I can do that, that I have a skill where I've,
Mm-hmm.
developed my talent, and that I can help people find their own voice, whether they want to be a professional singer or whether they want to just better their sound, better their speaking,
Mm-hmm.
be more present in their life. I've realized that there's so much more. You don't I used to I've been teaching for a long time as well, and I used to feel like, okay, I only want opera students and people who have a certain level of talent and ability, and then realizing how that there's a need for everyone to feel good about their sound
Mm-hmm.
and their expression, and it's not just an elitist. Not Opera is very specific, and there's a lot of skill and training involved, and with that training or with that skill, for me as an opera singer, it's so fun because I see how I can use what I've learned to make things accessible to people, and maybe they won't be opera singers, maybe they will,
Uh-huh.
but it doesn't matter. It's these basic foundational tools that we all have. So it's like babies are the best singers because they just let it out. They haven't been um,
Mm-hmm.
taught to hold back yet, or no, that's wrong, or no, that's bad. And granted, we need those, that guidance of not having temper tantrums and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. but
It might. Mhm.
but the natural instinct sometimes of just saying what you think or expressing yourself can be, we can inhibit ourselves.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I love listening to sorry, I love listening to what you are saying because it can seem like there's like no connection with manifesting, right? Training your voice. But in the same time, me, like as a manifestation coach, what I do, I teach people how to find and connect with how they are naturally imagining because
Yeah.
we are all imagining differently and in the same time we're in the world as a community of chasing techniques and doing something the certain way, and it's like missing the point because there's nothing magical about the certain techniques. It's just about finding how you are doing it naturally, how you are naturally imagining, and turning it into your favor, start using it. Because if not, then there will be a miss. Because even if we are so right that, yeah, those techniques are like highly effective and we'll make this special effort and we'll make this special time during the day, all right, to do those techniques, but in the same time, we have no control over how we are consciously, not consciously, unconsciously imagining through the day, then, yeah, then we are not really in our power. Because then, okay, so I will make a decision that, yeah, I'm manifesting money, all right, and I do those techniques and I'm manifesting those money, but in the same time, in the other areas of my life, there's like, a big house, right? Because I don't know how to take care of them. And thinking, oh my God, so if I have to make techniques for all of those like areas, for all of those things in my life, oh my God, that would be so much effort and so much time. All right.
Yes, it's
So
it's
I
like,
see.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to point that, yeah, you help people to find their own unique expression because I believe that deep down we are all one. We are like avatars of the same God, right? But as those like me, as Scotty and you and Alessandra, we have our uniqueness, and that can't be denied. It
Yeah.
just can't be denied. We can try, but it's just fake. And it, at the same time, when we step into our sorry, into our power and our uniqueness as human beings, the magic starts. Probably you and everyone here, we see like trend in marketing, right? Just show to people your true face and who you are, all right? And people will go, people will be convinced to you because we are all so hungry of like unpolished, unique, and real human beings, having connections with them.
And it's interesting because so often we're wanting to be like this person or be like that person, or um to sing like the as a singer, when people are saying, oh, I want to sound like this. And what can happen is the sound, because we can put things on, put on a facade without even realizing it. It's like, okay, this is how I'm supposed to be, so I'm gonna sing like this. And what I've noticed is we're there's such a beauty in uncovering, in a way, like
Mm-hmm, yeah.
saying, oh, and I still catch myself if I'm singing something and have a particular idea of what it should sound like. But now I know enough that if it doesn't feel totally right, there's something that I can do differently. It's just
I have a question, I have a question, I have a question. If, like, by the way, you, you who is like watching us right now, if you have any questions to me, to Alessandra, type them in the comment sections. We'll answer them all, or at least do our best to answer them all. But my question is, do you see a similarity in, yeah, so I want to sound like that, right? And sometimes it's not really aligned, let's use that word, to, yeah, I want to manifest that very specific thing,
so.
and that not being, what you truly want.
Yes. So when I remember when I was in at Eastman, my freshman year, I was surrounded. I think it was just myself and another girl who were the only two freshmen in our class, in our studio. We studied with this voice teacher who was very prominent, and she only accepted two freshmen in her studio, and the rest were grad students. And I remember they had some of the grad students had these enormous voices, and I would hear them, and it was just amazing. And so I felt like I want to have a big voice too, and
Mm-hmm.
so I would, unknowing to what I was doing, I was, when you force the sound,
Mm-hmm.
I'll use the word force because it's the same thing with man. When you force, the sound actually gets dampened. So what that means is it actually gets smaller. You don't, it does, it's not as clear
Uh-huh.
or bright or round. And so my teacher at the I know, it's so hilarious. My teacher at the time
Mm-hmm.
was trying to explain that to me, or trying to help me. But I was so, my soul, my being was like, no, I want to have a bigger voice. And what tends to happen is, um, what we hear on the outside is differently what the audience hears is different than what we hear as singers. So sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, people will sing in a way that they'll get all the sound, but it's not going out to the audience, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they feel like, oh, this is such a big sound and it sounds so wonderful, but the audience isn't getting it because it's blocked in a way. It's not
Uh-huh.
production. So it is it is very funny how they're the same principles. I think it's a universal.
It's like, I guess, yeah, those are the same principles. I just remembered one of my most hilarious, manifestation stories. It's like success story in a way. It was like before, like uh, long, long, long before I even discovered love of assumption, and I was still into the love of attraction thinking, right? It's like the very different thinking from
Yes.
like, yeah, the difference is, if someone doesn't know, the difference is like attracting something from the outside and pushing things being the source to everything what is. All right. So then I remember it was like people were saying, ah, yeah, so universe gives you what you want in form of the energy you are in. And
Hmm.
back then I really wanted, it was like short after I break up with my partner, and I really wanted, I wanted him back, and I wanted him on his knees and like asking me to go back to him, and and like all that. So yeah, I was like so concentrated on, but I wasn't feeling myself into, being validated, being cherished as a woman. I was just, yeah, like the guy who struggles. And yeah, and one of my best friends at that time just had the argument with her husband, and she left. She went to her mother for a weekend, and for some reason, instead of, like chasing her and like going after her, he was texting me for like 2 days. All right, if I can give him any advice as as a friend of her, like what he should be like. Oh my God, this was like total crap. It was like total mess. Yeah, I wanted a guy who like is desperate, misses. Yeah, just
It's so
wasn't it.
crazy. It's crazy it's crazy what pressure we put on ourselves to
Mhm.
what we think we need to do and what we have to do. Um, yes, I think for me, I was always very driven. Well, I wasn't at first when I was really young and just discovering that I was a singer and that I had that I had this talent. I felt very blessed and very like, oh, I have this gift and it's you know I had a purpose. I felt like I had
Mhm.
what I wanted to do. And as I embarked on that journey, I realized all this self-criticism would show up and all this judgment would show up, and it was really hard. It's almost like I lost in a way my genuine knowing of, oh, I'm a singer. That just that oh my goodness, it's really loud. I'm gonna shut the door. um, that genuine feeling of that childlike wonder of, oh, I get to do this, I have this opportunity. And I got really bogged down with, oh my gosh, I have to be perfect and I have to compete, and this isn't, it was like my focus shifted for a bit, and I had to remind myself of why I was doing what I was doing, and that I loved singing, and that I so it definitely took me on this journey of discovering who I am and how
Mhm.
who we are. And I think in a way that's one of the biggest blessings of um yeah of my challenge, I would say, of my journey, is that continual hunger for truth in a way, or knowing
Mhm.
who I am and what's driving this. What's all this?
Uh
Because
huh.
we get so fixated, and it can really harm us in a way, or
Mm-hmm.
it can just really, we can create so much of our own suffering and pain because we have this idea that it has to be a certain way or we want something this way. And I think a lot of even singing, which parallels with manifesting, is like, well, I was told you need to let go. And I was like, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I, as we discover who we are and going into that, being still and
Mm-hmm.
letting letting things emerge from that stillness and that knowing, it's like coming back home to ourselves and letting that guide us. So
Mm-hmm.
I think job and career, it can feel very out there. It can feel like, oh, this is something out there outside of me that I have to get or accomplish. And I think I'm still reminding myself,
What if that's just getting paid for who you already are?
yes, yes, yes.
What if that's about it? Because I think none of us really said it, but yeah, it matters that your clients, you as like vocal teacher, as a singing vocal teacher, right? You work mostly with manifestation people, with people who are consciously manifesting. Like right now, I will say it. Right now, I'm in like Alessandra's masterclass. All right. And on our first group call, like like everybody was touching, talking. Everybody was touching, manifesting.
You know, it's so funny. That's true. It's evolved that way for sure. And I think
Uh-huh.
I also can't not talk about the law, and maybe not in
Mm-hmm.
so many words of, okay, maybe the way Neville says, okay, do that. But I just do it naturally. So it's like it's just become part of my of myself, of me, to
Mm-hmm.
share. So yes, it is really fun that it's like consciousness through singing. Because I think that's, for me, it became that way. It was like I knew I had this gift, and then but getting, it was like I got lost in that, in a way. We get
Mm-hmm.
with trying to be something to a world, right? To a specific world, maybe, and trying to conform to that world. And you're right. It's like we are that world, obviously, but conforming to, letting it conform to us, how we want, what's ideal for us. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I asked you, and you answered, and then you asked me, but it somehow like went away, right? About advice to someone who wants to actually start and manifest a career. It was like that for me even, because my youth, I was traveling. Like most of my youth, I was like moving constantly, visiting different countries. It wasn't really so much for travel, but more, yeah, that was kind of my lifestyle. And as an effect of that, for a decent few years, I don't even know what to count how many, I was really taking like awful jobs. Like awful, maybe not awful always, but like, like whatever jobs, like being a shop assistant or a cleaner even, stuff like that. And the answer is they are so easy to quit, like those jobs. And I just needed that like, oh my God, I'm moving, like, to go away, to quit. Because that's so easy. All right. Some on the side of that, I was working like over internet, of course, as a tarot reader and as a love of attraction coach and as like spiritual healer. Uh, it's probably the most ridiculous, like, I was doing like, magical stuff with people. Like,
Well, you just are magic, Cody, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, the joke is, actually, when I was a little girl, that's exactly what I wanted to do. All right. But the thing is, me as a tarot reader, as this like spiritual worker, I was never paid enough just to do like only that. All
Right.
right. And when I had my big crisis and actually realized that what am I doing for like over a decade, that actually doesn't work because I'm getting old and my life is in pieces and I need to change something. But at the same time, I already knew that yeah, there is something in it, that it's not like a bunch of like whatever crap, but I knew something is working here. And that, like from that moment, I even have no idea how, but I heard about and discovered and started like getting into and diving into the love of assumption. All right. And when I knew, okay, so yeah, I want like really a job. I want to do something what's really mine.
Yes.
Back then, I had no idea that I will end up as a love assumption coach because that like hold me. I sucked at it. I didn't really knew what I was doing. I was constantly getting stuck and frustrated. Yeah, things like that. I wasn't getting it. I was like grasping, yeah. So right now, what I do, I help people mostly with like me back then to make it clear for them. But like anyway, what I started doing was just I started imagining that people want to work with me. I
Mm.
started imagining testimonials and stuff like that. Right, that yeah, it was like great working with you because the only one thing I knew, like for sure, is that I want to work with people. I had no idea what form. I had no idea it could be like being a manifestation coach. All right, but I knew that would be something with people, and that would be some kind of workshops. Probably I was guessing that I will go into cooking, like something like that.
Cupcakes.
That I will go into like teaching like vegan cooking and here like few years later I'm not a vegan anymore and I teach people manifesting. But yeah, that's how it all started.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me I had this, oh, I have to sing. I have to share my voice. I want to be out there. I want to be out there. And then I did a lot of auditions and I've, had a lot of success with singing, but I don't like auditioning. And I've like I was like, okay, I'm only gonna I realize that I tend to get my performing work through people who know me, through my natural, you know, yeah, people who know me or who've met me or just by being myself. But I've never liked the whole, okay, you have to audition for these amount of people and you'll get one job or whatever. But I mean, everyone can have their own experience, but I got really
Mm-hmm.
tired of that. And I just thought, this isn't fun. And I also felt like I was also putting my life on hold. And so I also started to just explore, other aspects of my life that I wanted, like relationships and um because I was so in a way one-dimensional. I was like, okay, this is all
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing. And I realized that it was in a way blocking me, and I realized that
Mm-hmm.
it really wasn't. It was, in a way, I would say it was a bridge to my desire, because it opened myself, it opened me up to more exploration within myself, and it led me to, well, it led me across the world also. But it's just amazing. I think it's really important. It's, using that word important again, I loved what you said, Cody, about you realized you had to change something because it wasn't working. And I think that's so important for all of us to realize, if we're doing something for a long time or whatnot and nothing has changed, or you're still in that situation, then that's a signal to yourself, in a way, like, okay, well, I have the opportunity to decide that my life is going to be different somehow. And like you,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I you wanted to work with people, and that's what you knew, and so you, that was true to who you are. And people, if they like working with numbers, then they can find something like that, accounting. But for those of us who are people oriented, who really feel like, um that satisfaction of, oh, I got to do this today, or my work has value and my clients love me, that feeling of that connection and that satisfaction, and letting that reveal itself, letting that show up. um yeah.
Mm-hmm. And here is that thing. So people so often ask, like me and in the Facebook groups, whatever, like how detailed you need to be to manifest something. Because we say, I mean, like we manifestation coaches, even like me, we say you need to know exactly what you want. But this thing, not knowing exactly what we want, isn't knowing the details. It's knowing how does it feel. I
Yeah.
want to sing, right? Oh yeah, that is what I want. It doesn't say like how I want to sing, like what songs I want to sing, where I
Yeah.
want to do it, and and all of that, all right? And I knew I want to work with people and I want to change their lives without even knowing
What that
like
means, or
in
what that
what
is.
way, what that means, yeah. But it was like exactly enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I started, I kind of stumbled upon teaching when I was, um well, several years, well, many years ago. But when I was also auditioning and things like that, and I would, I've always performed and taught in some way. But I realized, um there are fun ways of connecting with people in a unique way. And I realized that I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy what I learned with myself, with my voice, is that there's always more potential, more, if there's a desire, if you have a desire to sing or to be a better artist or whatever that desire is. But with regards to singing, I felt, because I had such a hunger to really discover my voice. And when I first started, I would never have known that I could do vocally what I can do now. But I knew,
Mm-hmm.
on another level, I knew that there was more to me, more to my voice than what I was showing at the moment. I
Uh-huh.
knew that there was more. And that's what, that desire really guided me to that discovery of what my potential was and is, and what other potential, what other people have. Because I also had times where people shut me down, said, oh, you can't do this, or you're not this or that. And it was crushing. And I think because I knew that, okay, that's, I know that's not true. It might just be what I'm showing, how I'm showing up in this moment, but I know that wasn't the truth of who I was as a singer and who I am. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that also, I love that about teaching is because I sometimes I'll tell people I'm a good teacher because I've gone through it all. I've had all the experience, like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
exactly. It's like we have the experience, we've had the pitfalls, and we've had the success, and we continue to grow and we continue to have that desire for truth, if you will, or just for keep giving life to um the best, the best version of yourself, or the different states what you want to give life to. um Having an amazing life and being an amazing example as well, um and being an inspiration. So yeah. I think it's yeah, it's just it's
It was beautifully said. Yeah.
thank you. Well, you're beautiful. I'm loving your boot camp. It's really awesome, and you're an amazing coach. And
Thank
um,
you.
yeah,
We
so
are doing an exchange, people here. So I attend like Alessandra's masterclass, like voice masterclass, and like, she will be like, sentenced to hear me sing. And she's in Limitless Fulfillment Bootcamp, the current audition. Oh my, the current edition. Like too much into like voice stuff.
audition. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay,
yeah.
do we have any questions? I didn't see. I was trying to not look here. Looks like we don't have any questions so far. But if you are here and you want to ask us something, anything, that's why we are here. You can also, can they still join your masterclass?
Yes, they can. It's
Okay.
singwithalessandra.com is the website, or you could contact me at well, Sing with Alessandra. It's two S's, Alessandra. And then on Facebook, Alessandra Rossi Filippi. And you can contact me there as well. So yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about the group that we have. And it's a wonderful eclectic group. We have people in Norway and Berlin and Texas and here in California. And I love, the internet is such a blessing. It's so
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
amazing.
is.
It's amazing that we could do these calls. Like, you're in Berlin, I'm in California, and um, I've been working with people in Australia and Hong Kong even. That was a little bit
Wow.
challenging
Uh-huh.
with the time change, but I think what's also really neat about the Zoom, I had one client who told me that, because she's really shy, um,
Mm-hmm.
Zoom actually, she was in Florida. The Zoom lessons were actually really beneficial because otherwise she might be too shy in person. So it really created a safe place for her to receive the information and
Mm-hmm.
explore her voice without feeling like um, intimidated or just feeling a little bit out of her comfort zone. So I think it's different. It's very different, but I'm so grateful. I've also taught a lot of people in person. We have a question. It's Hope. Do you want to answer that,
We
Cody?
have a
Or
question. Oh, yeah, now I can see it. How do you distinguish this content? Can you see it better? Because I see it on written on you. Like,
oh,
yeah.
okay. How do you distinguish
Okay, like,
this?
like, go for it. Now it's better.
how do you distinguish discontent with your current job and just not appreciating it enough and wanting to do something else that you also do want to do, especially if you are good at the current? Okay, so this sounds like the whole I need to appreciate what I have because
I need to be so thankful for my cancer.
say that again, Cody.
I need to be so thankful for my cancer or whatever disease,
Yeah.
right? We may have to move. I need to be so thankful for my divorce and heartbreak and like whatever. There's a lot of advice like that. Or maybe we're not talking crap here because like Hope is saying that she's good at the job that she has, but she just doesn't like it.
I think so. I get that a job brings in money and financial security and all that stuff that we assume um so and if we're good at it, then we can feel that obligation to, you know, money is here because of this job. And that's just in a roundabout way, that's just not true. So, right, the job, I mean, the money
Mm-hmm.
is a product of what you're assuming, that financial security, what you're allowing for yourself. Um, and I think if you are desiring to be have a different profession, you get to make that decision and say, this is how it's going to be, and I'm doing this. And really moving into that new experience so that you can let go of those old assumptions. Because otherwise, like right now, it might feel that you're trapped in between the old and the
Mm-hmm.
new desire. Don't we all do that sometimes? Like I remember I broke up with someone years ago and I had so much guilt. Like I had so much guilt after I think he got married like soon after we not soon after but you know soon after we broke up. I was still having guilt when he, you know, was newly married. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
we hold on to these things that we feel we've created and therefore we need to keep holding on to them. But what would you say, Cody?
What really hit me is this part of not appreciating enough what we have. That was a big part of the past, like tarot, whatever, me, right? Working on just like love yourself, like how you are, and like love the terrible life that you may have. And I really don't like that approach because it takes us really nowhere. So you have rice and you want pasta. Um, yes, so there's okay. Like the rice is okay, right? And like so many people like it, but it's just not what you want. It's
Yeah.
absolutely not what you want. And I had like for so much time, I had problem with food. And one of part that was like small, but like still like a part of it was just this thinking, right? That when you have something, it's like already it was cooked for you, or you cooked it, and it's already in your fridge. You have to eat it. You cannot just throw it away. It's like no, you can't throw away food. And it was always like ended up for me with overeating because at first I was eating what I had and then I was eating what I wanted to eat. So I was actually like eating double. And with food, that's possible. But with the job, yeah, it's like so much harder to have two jobs. Some people do it still, right? So I have this job I don't really like, but yeah, it pays me. And I have my business that I love working on, but I'm not letting myself to fully dive into that, right? So I'm like working like here a little bit and here a little bit, and then my business is never as good as it can be. Yeah, because I'm not feeding it enough. I'm not like putting enough energy into it because I'm busy also with the job that like pays for my bills.
So she's saying, okay, what if the discontent developed after a major life upset? Does that make a difference? Well, I personally feel that it's just all part of your bridge, right, to your new life.
Mm-hmm,
And that, these are all just coming to the forefront that you don't want this anymore. It's like, I to your point, Cody, with the food, I remember
uh-huh,
I was invited to a mentor's home, and at the time I was doing a vegan diet, and I had this whole cleanse thing going on, and they served me like some type of pork, and
mm-hmm,
I did not feel comfortable to say I can't eat this because
mm-hmm,
I paid the consequences for it. I got so sick after. It totally it took over the whole trip. So I think that's also about honoring your desire. It's like, because
mm-hmm,
we do have these consequences that will happen if we're not listening to what we really want.
mm-hmm.
So
I will add one more thing because usually or always the major life upsets are changes. Always, alright? Doesn't matter if that's like how painful is it, but that's a change. And
yes,
going through changes changes us. So we want different things, right? We want to change our diet, we want to change our hair color, we want to change our partner, we want to change where we live. And yeah, the question is to you, and that's like honestly, like what do you want? What do you actually like about the job that you still have? Because if the question is, I may be totally wrong because we are not, even talking here, it's just the comment in the question. Uh, but yeah, so you ask, what if you are just not appreciating it enough? The question is, have you tried doing it? Have you tried like being honest with yourself and telling yourself what do you actually like about that job? And do you actually like it? Or is just the thinking that yeah, it's better, it pays better, that more people make, and da 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 da. But the question is it enough for you? And yeah, like it can be absolutely true that it's actually a good job, and someone else would be so happy to have it. But then, if you stay there not liking it, you're just blocking the spot for someone who would actually jump up and down having that job.
you're so selfish, Hope. Just kidding. That's a really good point, Cody. And I think
Hmm.
that's very freeing, because it's like, um we get so bogged down by that feeling, that pressure. And when you can shift it in that perspective of, oh, maybe someone else would be blessed to have this job, and maybe by you moving out of that position, you're blessing not only yourself, but you're blessing this other person who's going to take that over, who's going to do that.
And one more thing, the last actually, right? Is this part of yes, so maybe I want to appreciate that job that I have right now? Isn't it just the fear of change in disguise? So you actually fear that, yeah, I will say no, I don't want you to the job that you have right now, and then you will regret it.
Hmm.
Yeah? It's like what we so often we humans have around breakups. So I will kick that guy out, and then I will stay fat, lonely, and with cats. Right?
By the way, we're not making fun of anybody who has cats and all that kind of stuff. You're
I'm
just
fat and I have cats. Hey.
Uh, but that simplicity of what you said a while ago, Cody, about what if a job is just being paid to be yourself? What if it was that easy?
Mm-hmm.
And feeling into that experience. Wow, I get paid to be me. Isn't that amazing? It's so
Mm-hmm.
liberating to um, be able to own your day, own your
Uh-huh.
expertise, your value in a way, to just be able to recognize that you have something to offer people and that it's easy and fun and that um, not that well, you're investing in yourself and in
Mm-hmm.
others, and that interwoven play can just be so life-giving more than um, it can sprawl out into all areas of your life, not just
Mm-hmm. Listen to Alessandra. And Hope, I don't know what kind of job do you have, but I can have this intuition that it's some like corporate job that you do for someone else, like a position, all right? And the question is, can you really be yourself and share your gifts with others there? It's like because we are working with Alessandra, it's like singing in a choir, right? And being a solo singer. What if Beyonce never like left Destiny's Child, right? Because she was just like appreciating the fame she had like around the band.
wow, that's good, Cody. Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh. And then the next question can be, but yeah, can we all be just coaches? Because yeah, right now we have like coaches everywhere, like everyone wants to be a coach. But what if we actually do can? What if we actually can all be coaches? Because we are not all coaches in the same thing. Like I can't be like voice coach, like no way. All right, and there's like so many other things that I just like simply cannot coach people in because I have no idea what that is. Like we all have our like we started. Oh my god, we are talking over an hour already. Oh my god, sorry. Uh, we all have our uniqueness and our unique gifts. What about just sharing them with others? Because like yeah, they truly need it.
The world is really hungry for that authenticity. That's a word that's so overused these days, I suppose, but I think that there's so much truth to that where
Maybe
everyone
it's
is
not overused. Maybe it just need that.
okay, there you go. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's I think that's there's that hunger for that. And I think also allowing yourself to shine through what you do, whatever that is, you know, whatever that is, and giving that to yourself, that opportunity to shine.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alessandra, so much for saying it and for being my guest here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you those who really stayed with us for this whole time, and to those who, yeah, just like saw a part of it. Maybe do we actually have more questions there? But it's really already over an hour. Mm, oh my God. Yeah, I will do some like maybe live Q&A. That would be a good idea. So if your question wasn't answered, uh, I will organize a live Q&A soon. I don't know when yet, but let's do it. One more time. Thank you, Alessandra.
Thank you. This was so much fun. This is wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.